A 200,000-ton ship held in place by a single piece of metal. That shouldn't be possible. Imagine this, a massive container ship weighing over 200,000 tons is sitting perfectly still in open water. The wind is howling. The current is pulling. The force pushing against that ship is enormous, strong enough to snap steel cables. And yet, this floating city is being held in place by something surprisingly small, a single anchor. At first glance, it doesn't make sense. How can one piece of metal stop something that powerful from drifting away? But here's the truth. The anchor isn't doing what you think it's doing. Most people imagine an anchor like a hook, something that grabs onto rocks and holds the ship in place. But in reality, that's not how it works at all. Because the real power isn't the anchor. It's the chain. On a large ship, the anchor chain is enormous. We're not talking about something you'd see at a hardware store. Each link can weigh hundreds of pounds. The entire chain, often heavier than the anchor itself. And when a ship drops anchor, it doesn't just drop it straight down. Instead, the crew releases a long length of heavy chain, letting it spread across the seabed. This creates a curved shape, a slow, heavy arc resting on the ocean floor. Now imagine what happens when a wave hits the ship. The ship gets pushed backward, but before that force can reach the anchor, it has to lift tons of steel chain off the seabed. And that's not easy. The chain absorbs the energy. It stretches. It resists. It acts like a giant shock absorber. By the time the force reaches the anchor, it's no longer pulling upward. It's pulling sideways. And that changes everything. Because instead of pulling the anchor out, it actually drives it deeper into the seabed, locking it in place. So the anchor isn't holding the ship by grabbing, it's holding it by staying buried. But now here's the question. What happens in the middle of the ocean, where the water is thousands of meters deep? Could a ship just drop anchor and stop? No, not even close. In deep water, anchoring becomes impossible. The chain would need to be miles long, and the weight of that chain would destroy the ship itself. The winch would snap. The structure could fail. Even the bow could be torn apart. So in deep ocean, ships don't anchor, they drift. Or, in the case of modern vessels like drill ships, they use something far more advanced. Dynamic positioning. Computers constantly monitor movement. Thrusters push against currents. The ship swims in place without ever touching the ocean floor. Now back to shallow water. When a captain drops anchor, how do they know how much chain is out? They can't see underwater. They can't measure it directly, so they use a system that's surprisingly old, simple, but incredibly effective. It's called a shackle. The anchor chain is divided into sections, each one about 27 meters long, and each section is marked with bright colors: red, white, blue, sometimes even wrapped with metal wire, so it can be identified by touch in the dark. As the chain is released, crew members count the colored sections, calling out 3 shackles, 4 shackles. This tells the captain exactly how much chain is deployed and whether the ship is safely anchored. But the hardest part isn't dropping the anchor, it's lifting it back up, because once that anchor is buried deep in the seabed, it creates a powerful suction, like pulling something out of thick mud. You can't just yank it out. The force required would be too much. The machinery could fail. So instead, the ship moves, slowly, carefully, positioning itself directly above the anchor. As it moves forward, the chain shifts from a curve to a straight vertical line. Now the force is no longer pulling sideways. It's pulling straight up. And in that moment, the suction breaks. The anchor releases. A moment sailors call breaking out. As it rises, it's covered in thick, heavy mud, clinging to every surface. So before it re-enters the ship, high-pressure water jets blast it clean. Only then is the anchor secured, and the ship is free to move again. So the next time you see a massive ship sitting still in the water, remember this: it's not being held in place by brute force, but by physics, weight, friction, and a system designed to work with nature, not against it. Because sometimes, the strongest solutions don't fight the ocean, they use it.